Many people search for answers, but ignore the signs that heaven is already sending. What you're about to hear asserts with rock-solid certainty just one thing. The events of the end times are at hand. And after hearing it, you will no longer be able to say that nobody warned you. Hello everyone, all of my Christian friends. This experience came to me just a few days ago from a man named Jordan Payton, 37 years old, a former senior partner at a logistics firm in Chicago. I tell it to you in his own words. Now, be sure to stay until the end because the revelation about the 7 cities could save you and those that you love. Before we begin, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and drop a comment, letting us know which city or country you're listening from. When I came back, I knew I had to warn them. I couldn't keep it to myself no more. The things I saw, the cities that are gonna fall. You don't just sit on that, you know? Like, what are you supposed to do? Go back to routing trucks? No way. My name is Jordan Payton. I'm 37 years old. I was a senior partner at a logistics firm in downtown Chicago. I spent my whole career routing trucks, managing supply chains. I believed in steel, concrete, and redundancy. I thought tomorrow would always look like today. Then my heart stopped. I died right there in my office on the 42nd floor. And while I was gone, Jesus showed me 7 cities that are going to become death traps. He told me straight up, get my people out before the dominoes start falling. So the night it happened, I was alone, finishing quarterly projections. The city lights spread out before me like diamonds. I remember thinking they looked like money, like they were something solid. I reached for my coffee and then, like this pressure, like a horse kicking me from the inside, just clamped down on my chest. I tried to grab my phone, but my arms wouldn't listen. My vision tunneled, and the last thing I saw was that blinking cursor on my laptop. Then nothing. No pain, no fear, just sudden arrival. One moment I was slumped in my chair, and the next I was standing on a floor made of crystal. I'm like, what is this? But it breathed. It had colors I can't describe. Just amazing. Like you couldn't paint them. And it felt more solid than granite, but it was like woven from light, you know? I looked down at my hands and I was still wearing my charcoal suit. Same ink stain on my thumb. But all the exhaustion I had been carrying for 10 years just gone. And the air, it wasn't air, it was life. Every breath felt like drinking from a cold mountain spring, filling me with a peace so deep that my whole life in Chicago felt like a frantic, dusty dream, like none of it was real. I saw mountains in the distance, but they weren't rock. They were like golden light, just solid light, and it didn't hurt my eyes. It was peaceful. And I knew right then that this was what home actually feels like, you know? The weirdest part was I wasn't confused at all. Everything made total sense, like I'd always known this place. There was no fear, no questions, just a quiet knowing that I was where I was supposed to be. And the flowers, man, I didn't even mention the flowers yet. They were everywhere, big as dinner tables, and they were alive in a way that flowers on earth just aren't. You could feel them noticing you, like they were glad you were there. You don't have colors like that here. So that's when I saw him. He came walking toward me. My soul recognized him, not the soft figure from the paintings. No, he moved with this focus, calm power that made the crystal ground seem dim. His presence was so heavy with truth. I wanted to apologize for every empty word I'd ever spoken. When he said my name, Jordan, it didn't just hit my ears. It went through my bones, and I knew him. Not from Sunday school or the pictures on my grandmother's wall. I knew him the way you know your own heartbeat. Like we'd always been together. Like I just forgot for a little while, that's all. He said, "You've spent your life building systems for commerce. Now you're going to serve a different mission, one that will save lives in ways your career never could. I'm going to show you what's coming so you can warn them. 7 cities must be emptied." Then that beautiful landscape just dissolved, and we were hanging in a void, looking down at North America like a living map. I could see the cities glowing, the highways like veins, the dark patches of wilderness. But I could see more than that. I could see like the spiritual health of places, the weight of choices people made. I know that sounds crazy, but you would have felt it too if you were there. And then he showed me Seattle first, I think, or maybe it was LA, Los Angeles. It's hard to piece it all together. My mind was just trying to keep up. But I remember Seattle clear. We were over the Puget Sound, and it looked so peaceful. You know, the Space Needle, the evergreens, the blue water. But then the ground started shaking. Not a little tremor. The earth moved in waves like a carpet being shaken. You could hear this deep growl like the planet was groaning in pain. High rises swayed until the glass broke into a million pieces and the concrete just gave way. And Jesus said, "The judgment comes from the sea." Then the ocean pulled back, way back, miles, exposing this dark seabed that hadn't seen the sun in forever. I could hear the shells cracking like a weird popping sound as the water disappeared. And there was this smell like brine, a rot, and something ancient. I saw people walking out there, curious, taking pictures, but then a dark line appeared on the horizon, and it got taller and taller. It was a wall of water, not a wave. When it hit, it erased everything. Cars, shipping containers, houses, a mother running uphill with a child. And I could feel her terror like it was my own, but the water was faster, just a cold, gray rush. There was a ferry out in the Sound, I remember that. It was trying to get back to the dock, and the wave just picked it up and set it down on top of a parking garage. Just set it down like it was a toy boat. I was screaming inside, "Run, please run," but nobody could hear me. I couldn't look away, you know. I was asking, "Why so much?" And he said, "Pride makes men build towers at the edge of my sea and call themselves safe. Tell my people to leave Seattle before the spring rains end. When the ground groans, it's too late." And then, okay, I'm gonna jump around a bit because that's how it was. He showed me Los Angeles, but not like in a straight line. I saw 3 separate earthquakes there. The first one cracked foundations and people ran into the streets, but then they went back inside that night, posting on social media that they survived. They trusted the building codes, you know? Then a second quake hit, bigger, right under the city. The fault ripped open and I could feel this deep, violent shuddering in my spirit. I saw the 405 freeway buckle, overpasses falling onto cars, gas lines broke, and the whole sky turned orange with fire. I remember thinking like a logistics guy, with the freeways gone, no truck can get in or out. The whole system is just blocked. But people still stayed, waiting for FEMA, for the government. Then the third one came and it shook for minutes. The aqueducts that bring water to the desert snapped. In an hour, LA was a desert again, but with millions of thirsty people. Fires everywhere, no water. I saw neighbors fighting over a single bottle, their faces twisted with a rage that was almost demonic. Jesus said, "A city that lives on stolen water and forgotten prayers becomes a cage." Don't wait for the second shake. When the first one hits, that is your warning. After that, the door is closed. And then he showed me San Francisco. The Golden Gate looked like a red toy from up there, but underneath the ground was like soft. A deep pulse came from the earth, and the soil turned to liquid. Whole neighborhoods just sank. Houses, cars, people just swirling down like they were on quicksand. I saw a young couple in a high-rise staring at their phones as the floor tilted. They weren't scared at first, just confused. Then the building started to lean, and I could see in their eyes the moment they knew. It was the worst kind of silence before the screaming. The Bay Bridge snapped, cars tumbling into the water like toys. The Golden Gate cables whipped through the air, slicing through anything in their path, and the bridge bent and broke. He said they thought their technology would save them, but when the ground turns to water, the hills won't hide you. Flee. Oh, and I almost forgot. He took me to the middle. The new Madrid Fault, where Missouri and Tennessee and Arkansas come together. I used to route trucks through there, so I knew it. The whole region heaved, and the Mississippi River stopped and flowed backward. The sound was like the earth cracking open, a deep bass rumble that shook my insides. The ground liquefied for miles, and bridges just dropped into the mud. The rail lines twisted, pipelines snapped. The east was cut off from the west. I saw grocery shelves go bare in hours. People panicking, their faces blank with disbelief. He said, cross the river now while there's still a bridge. The land will split and the heart of the nation will stop beating. Then New York, the financial center. I saw the Atlantic rise. No storm, just a silent surge like the ocean was just walking onto the land. Water crept into lower Manhattan and I was pulled down into the subway tunnels. Rush hour packed with people and water started pouring in. They went from complaining to screaming in seconds. The lights died and the water rose so fast I could hear the slosh and the panic. I saw a man in a nice suit holding his briefcase over his head like it was going to save him, and a woman with a stroller trying to push it up the stairs, but the water kept pulling it back down. People were climbing over people. Now, I'd seen supply chain failures, port strikes, all of it. Nothing like that. I saw rich people in penthouses clutching their laptops as the water rose. The bridges jammed, tunnels flooded. He said the financial district will be a graveyard. A penthouse is a grave with a view. Get out before summer. A life is worth more than a career. And then Houston, the oil city. Floods from the Gulf cracked the refineries and chemicals mixed with the water. Then a spark set it all on fire. Flames on the water, black smoke covering everything. I could almost smell the acid choking poison, even in that spiritual form. Families on roofs breathing poison, holding wet cloths over their faces. The water was on fire, man. I keep coming back to that. You think you've seen everything, and then you watch a lake of fire spreading through a neighborhood, and the rain that finally comes is black with soot. It falls on the children. I wanted to scoop them up, every single one of them. He said, they worshipped the fuel. Now it consumes them. Move north and west, far from the coast. I gotta tell you, by this point, my soul was exhausted. Seeing all of that. And then he brought me home. Chicago, where I had my office, my life. From above, it looked beautiful, but a dark shadow spread over it. I saw a heat wave, the power grid failing. And then one substation went down and the whole city went dark. No water, no lights. 3 million people in a concrete furnace. Grocery stores rotted. Gas stations dead. High-rises became vertical traps. I could see my own office building, the windows like empty eyes. People stuck on the upper floors, the heat pressing in like a physical thing. In the streets, people fought with bats and broken bottles for water. Men in suits with hollow eyes, and I recognized some of them. Guys I'd been in meetings with, guys who'd signed off on my shipments. They were standing outside my office building, just staring at the dark windows. Their whole lives were in that building, their data, their files, their identity, and it was all just dark glass now. He said, they trusted the grid, not me. Move to the high plains where water comes from the earth, not pipes. And the last city was Miami. White sand, turquoise water, but the ground underneath was like Swiss cheese. Limestone full of holes. A storm pushed the ocean up through the ground. The high-rises tilted and sank, making this grinding sound like the earth was chewing. The highway out of the Keys jammed with cars, and the water swallowed it from both sides. He said, they built a kingdom of pleasure on sand. Don't look back. After all of that, he showed me what happens next. The nation is broken, starving, scared. Leaders come on every screen with calm voices, promising safety. They'll offer a digital mark, a chip in your hand or forehead to track your health, your location, your access to food. To a starving person, it'll look like salvation. But Jesus wept when he showed me that. He said, that's the mark of the beast. Once you take it, the light in your soul goes out. You'll never hear my voice again. Even if you starve, don't take it. I saw people lining up, their faces relieved, and then their eyes went dead. Like the light just switched off. And it was the most chilling thing. I asked him, why would they take it? Why would anybody choose that? And he looked at me with so much sorrow. And he said, because they'll be desperate, Jordan. And desperate people will trade their soul for a meal. That's why you have to tell them now, while they still have a choice. Then he showed me the refuge, pockets of light in the high plains, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, the Dakotas. And this was like a cool, healing breeze after all that fire. I saw simple families living simple, growing food, sharing, praying. Children were playing in the dirt, laughing, and there was no fear in them. I watched a woman share bread with a neighbor she'd just met, just broke it in half and handed it over like it was nothing. And I realized that's the thing. When you got nothing, you share everything. That's when you're the richest. The homes were humble, but the peace there was the same kind I felt in the first heavenly place. He said, gather the essentials, water filtration, tools, seeds, medicine, my word. Abandon the systems of man and wait on me. I turned to him and I said, please don't send me back. Just let me stay here. This peace, I can't. I don't want to leave. I sounded like a kid, I know that, begging. But that place was the first time in my whole life I felt like I belonged. The thought of coming back to this heavy world, back to the blinking cursor and the stale coffee and the fear, it felt like punishment. He put my hand on my shoulder and it was the warmest, safest touch. Jordan, that's not your job. I'm sending you back with the truth. Now go. And then bam. I felt this heavy pull, like gravity had tripled, and I was slammed back into my body. Face on the carpet, the cursor blinking. The air felt thick and dirty, and pain came flooding back. I could smell the old coffee and the dust of the carpet. I tried to move, but I felt like I was wearing a lead suit. The first thing I thought, I kid you not, was, oh man, the ambulance ride is gonna cost a fortune. I mean, I was just worried about the bill, you know? Because that's how my mind works. But it was real. I was back, and I just lay there, dizzy, wondering if the whole thing would bankrupt me before I even got to tell anyone. I sat there a long time, the ink stain on my thumb reminding me it all happened. I looked at my watch, 11:43. I had been dead for 21 minutes. I couldn't go back to the board meetings, so I quit, cashed out my retirement. My old colleagues, they're still routing trucks, and they think I'm nuts. But you know what? I don't care. I saw what I saw. Jesus gave me the ultimate logistics mission, moving people from the cities of death to the places of life. The 7 cities are death traps. The ground will move, the water will rise, the systems will fail. But he showed me so you can get out, you know? The door is open, but it's closing fast. Go to the high plains, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, the Dakotas. Live simple, help each other, wait on him. Pack what you need and leave before the dominoes fall. Pray the desperate kind of prayer, not the polite kind. The kind where you cry out, and share this with someone you love, even if they laugh. Everything we chase is sand, but the love of God is real. So real, he has sent me back to tell you. When the ground starts groaning in the northwest, remember, I tried to warn you. Don't ignore it. Jordan's story is a powerful mirror held up to our own lives. A man devoted to material success, who, faced with the unexpected, discovers what truly matters. We often live life in a rush, chasing superficial certainties and forgetting the fragility of our time. The story is an invitation to pause before it is too late, reminding us not to take tomorrow for granted and to place empathy, inner peace, and the care of our soul back at the center. It is a call to rearrange our priorities, to rediscover the deep value of human relationships. If this message touched you, or if you are going through a difficult time and seeking a safe, judgment-free space to share your experience, join our community. You'll find the link to access the group in the description and in the first pinned comment. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos, and leave a comment telling us what city or country you're listening from to discover just how close we really are. As scripture reminds us, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?